We're back. Another episode. This time it's not tech stocks and jobs. It's how we Linux. Well, we talk about everything Linux, but tonight we may do a little something different. May do a little something different. A little bit. Not a whole lot. Um, I hope you enjoyed Saturday's show. Saturday's show was a 3-hour show. You know, they used to do 4 or 5 hour shows, 6 hour shows. People were complaining, you gotta cut that back. I can't sit through 6 hours. Use AI to summarize the video. If you have not been with us on a live before, usually on the lives we kind of navigate the tech space from a couple of perspectives, from stocks to where the money is and so forth and everything else. So tonight is not going to be any different, but a little bit different. A little bit. I want to do found a video title that I wanted to review, and then I'm going to talk and navigate through it. I don't want to play the video. I just want to take the title and read through some of the comments, and then we'll pick up from there. All right, so let's give shout outs to who's all out in the audience so far. What's going on, Farron? Operation Tech Takeover, Queen Lee. How you been? How you doing? S. Taylor, Rachel Thornton. Let me see. Can I see who else is out there in the world? Those that are catching us on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatnot. We'll catch you then. What's going? Thank you, Farron. Black Doug 21. 21, want you to do something for me? Yeah. I got you. Oh, you're welcome for the advice. You good, man. Hey, we're just trying to make sure people eat out here and eat well. Eat well. You don't have to have flank steak when you can have a ribeye, a bone-in ribeye, or wagyu, wagyu. Your choice, however you want to say it. Kevin, what's going on? How you doing? All right. I'm gonna go through some stuff. We got a special guest joining us tonight. We're gonna see if this special guest can kind of get it together. And then we'll take it from there. All right, let me get my screen up. All right. So I always like to tell y'all to follow the money. So here's following the money. HPE wins $1 billion in an AI server deal for Elon Musk's X. So for Twitter. So HPE won a deal worth more than $1 billion to provide Elon Musk's X social network with servers optimized for artificial intelligence. And it goes on, the agreement was reached late last year, according to people familiar with the matter, who asked to remain anonymous because the deal was private. Competitors Dell Inc. and Supermicro also bid to sell the equipment. HPE declined to comment. Demand for computing to run AI workloads has led to a boom for makers of high-powered servers like HPE. Most companies, including Tesla and xAI, have emerged as major customers for the hardware. A supercomputer project being built by xAI in Memphis has used a mix of Dell and Supermicro, right? So again, HPE, $1 billion. Let's go to the next one. Microsoft, right, plans to pour $80 billion into cloud data centers. $80 billion into cloud data centers. I tell y'all, follow the money. That's what I mean. Follow the money, right? All right, let me get something off the screen up here because it's gonna bother me. Because it'll try to connect up. No, I want that. All right, the tech giant will fuel more than half of its investments in the U.S. based facilities. Microsoft Vice Chair President Brad Smith said on Friday. Microsoft expects to spend roughly $80 billion on AI enabled data centers to train large language models and deploy AI cloud based applications during its current fiscal year. More than half the investments will be in the U.S., according to Smith. The tech giant's current fiscal year 2025 through June the 30th. AI workloads triggered cloud capacity constraints last year are ratcheting up to supposed to be, I guess, reaching up on ongoing ratcheting up on ongoing data center building bloom. Microsoft responded by nearly doubling capital investments to 20 billion in the first quarter of fiscal 2025. Right, so they're going into cloud infrastructure, of course. They're also looking at it says is which is laid out a three-pronged approach: economic success centered around data centers, upskilling, and technology exports. Again, upskilling is what they're looking at. The incoming administration can strengthen these foundational elements, building on the work from President Trump's first term and so forth. In addition to breaking ground on the $3.3 billion Wisconsin facility last year, Microsoft launched its first data center in the region in Mexico and further expanding its cloud footprint into France and Germany. We we intend to invest more than 35 billion in 14 countries within 3 years to build trusted and secure AI and cloud data centers. All right. So again, big tech companies spent 180 billion on data center expansions. All right. So again, here we go. 80 billion right there. I talked about probably another 100 billion this weekend. Yeah. The you can go into the stock side. I won't do it tonight. I won't turn this into a tech stocks and jobs, but go check out data center REITs, REITs, data center REITs. Right? All right. I don't know if y'all ready for this one. I don't know if y'all ready for this one. All right. The outgoing U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin proposes to push the budget beyond 1 trillion. Remember, the budget right now for DoD is 850 billion, but now they're pushing for 1 trillion. 1 trillion. All right. All right. So it says the uh outgoing U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin proposes increasing the defense spending budget by 50 billion for 2026, potentially pushing the budget beyond 1 trillion by 2030. The increase seeks to meet military strategy demands, excluding aid to Israel and the Ukraine amid current spending constraints. Right. So again, they're looking to push the budget to 1 trillion, right? They got a proposed Austin's letter dated November 27th outlined a 5-year defense plan, starting with a proposed 926.5 billion in fiscal 2026, compared to the current projection of 876 billion, 876.8 billion. All right. Again, 1 trillion, right? All right, so what's his name again? Lloyd Austin. Let's see. Don't let me cut and paste there. Oh, I don't know what's going on here, but we'll go here. Let's see if we can find it. I may have to put PDF afterwards. Yeah. All right. So let's go back and put PDF. Let's see. And then let's change this. And let's put up in the last week. Let's see. Oh no, we'll see. Let's see what they got on here. Hmm. Let's see. Austin. No, his name is Lloyd. Yeah, Austin Lloyd. I mean Lloyd Austin. Okay, that's one, two. Ain't got nothing on there. I'm trying to see if they got one with the latest news. Trying to see what adjustment he made in the budget request, because that's going to let you know where the other 50 billion he's requesting, where it's going towards. Let's see, citing foreign media. It don't say spending should exceed 1 trillion in fiscal years 29, 29, 29, and 2029, and then 2030. We probably may have to wait a little bit for that PDF gets released to the public. I don't know, it may get released to the public tomorrow, but should have got released today. I really want to know what the additional request is. It may be to upgrade data centers. It may be to do both upgrade data centers and train workers, right? What's going on, Ernest Terry? All right. So another big thing that people don't keep up with these contracts is just in general, what's getting awarded, right? So I'm just gonna run down the list. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time. 175 million to the Navy. Space Force MTSI books $100 million Space Force contract. So you want to go work for MTSI? You want to see what they're doing? Go check them out. The Navy gets awards 908 million to Raytheon. 640 to a Space Force contract. Airbus, U.S. Space and Defense, 315 with Army. The Navy select 1,000 vendors for the Seaport one. $1.1 billion. Columbus wins $1.1 billion for electrical and electronic engineering. All right, electrical and electronic engineering. Boeing booked $615 million Air Force contract. Booz Allen wins 316 in Virginia. Leidos books the $2.6 billion TSA contract for Checkpoint. Those, when you're going through the airport and you got to get your bag scanned, that's what that is. That's what they're talking about there. All right, on the next page, Kratos secures 1.5 billion. The VA awards 4 spots for medical disability. Northrop Grumman secures a $480 million, $81 million Army contract. NNSA eyes secures a $36 billion follow-on contract. The Department of Energy and Nuclear Security Administration has announced plans to compete a potential 20-year, $36 billion recompete contract. 12 companies secure on 240 million Peraton space, and they are hiring. I put them in the chat. I mean, in the Slack. 250 million in fourth quarter, 946 there, 107 and 219. So when y'all tell me y'all can't find jobs, I'ma always refer back to this. GovCon Wire. GovCon Wire. Now if I go back, um, there are other ones here, right? So you can go to U.S. spending, federal awards, defense contracts with clearance jobs, and so forth. But you can come here and start looking and search and see who got awarded what as well. I'm not gonna spend time there tonight. Um, so defense contracts on clearance jobs. So DARPA extends its joint all domain warfighting program 9.6 billion, Lockheed Martin 678, and then they just go down the list here. Well, you can just look at who got what. All right, all right. Caller in the back, are you ready? All right, let's go. Come on up, caller. I'll take myself down. Yeah, there you go. Got a D sighting. She decided to join us. You may be on mute.
Nope, I'm not on mute. I
Hold
didn't
on. Let me
say
make sure I
anything.
turn my sound up because I can't hear you.
Mm, I don't know why.
Nah, I can't hear you.
Let's see. How about now?
Mm-mm, mm-mm. No, no, D. It's okay. We can wait for you. You may have to take them headphones off.
How about now?
Uh-uh. I don't know. Do y'all hear her out there? Oh, she said they said they can hear you. I can't hear you.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't hear anything.
Turn up your
My
sound.
sound is up.
Hmm.
I don't hear nothing. I don't have no headphones plugged in. Let me make
You know,
sure.
you've been having audio issues all day.
Let me make sure my audio is correct. Everything's going through mine.
Let me turn mine down.
I just tested my speakers.
I heard them.
Mm. I can't hear you, D. But that's okay. As
Is
long
it?
as they can
It's
hear you.
not much of a conversation if you can't
As
hear
long
me,
as they can hear you, it's all good. So D, I
ma'am.
can't hear you, but I could put myself on mute and hear you through the other means. D, how have you been, and what have you been up to?
I've been good. I can't complain. I can't complain at all. I'm exhausted. I am really, really tired, but it's all in the day's work. Happy New Year's, everyone. New Year, actually. Can you hear me now? I hear you turning on something in the background. Now I can't hear you because now you're on mute. Whatever you got going on is whack. But I can always leave and come back. Hey, if we got a struggle stream, we got a struggle stream. But I don't think it's me. Look at your settings at the top too. But I mean, if I can hear you on the live, I don't know. But yeah, I've been good. I mean, I can't complain. Yeah, I've been 6 months at my new job. It's been, building some good stuff. Sh I don't even wanna say I lost 2 people last month. 2 people that I love that were well off into their 90s, 93 years young and 98 years young. They transitioned, and, it's been a little bittersweet. I'm gonna miss my chats, but, great lives, great lives. Other than that, working on some stuff that we have in the pipeline, finally trying to get, settled, with a system for myself. Those hurricanes back to back to back then threw us out the game. But also, prayers up to everybody that's, being affected by this snow and these fires. And I mean, Mother Nature, she must have called off something. Something's going on with that. So, that's it. That's it. You know me. I'm low key D in the background. I'm here still.
I'm assuming you stopped talking because
Yes, I stopped
your
talking.
mouth stopped moving. So because I can't hear, so I had to listen to you over here,
That's
and it's a
that's
delay
you
on
don't
my
have chat
on
on your
that end.
computer. You can put the
And I
dictation
have no
on.
idea why I can't hear you, but you're coming in fine over there. But I'm gonna step down, and then I'm gonna leave and come back in. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna leave and come back in. 1 second.
Okay.
Leave.
Um, got a question. Oh, somebody has, yeah, Queen Lee. I have been on my new gig for about 6 months now, and I'm definitely enjoying it. Um, AMW Films, thank you so much. What part of tech uh are you in? I'm in the government space in infrastructure. What is a normal day at work for me? A normal day at work, it could be so different, but usually it's a lot of meetings. It's a lot of meetings. It's a lot of note taking. It is a lot of engaging with the stakeholders on the project from all different facets. From because once you're you have your stakeholders that are in the government space, and then you have your civilians, and then you have these other vendors. So there are so many moving pieces, and because I'm in infrastructure, like Tamika said, you either maintaining or you're building. um, where we're always building. We're always breaking down. We're always trying to fix something to see what works, what not works. um, Backup plans, remediation, all different types of things. So a typical day is a lot of meetings. And then after that it's just kind of okay, what are those actions in those action plans, those next steps that we need to do to get everything moving, because everything is moving so fast in what we do in a given day. It could the I wouldn't say the overall focus is changed, but the directions they do transition very swiftly. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and I'll give a different perspective. It is meetings, but this goes back to the conversation of about business value, understanding the business value of one, what you're doing, why you're meeting, and what the end result is, and how, and what are the steps to get to that end result, and what is the length of time it's going to take to get there, right? So that's why I always tell y'all to look at the business value of what the teams that you're working on or interviewing with, or even understanding what you are studying for, right? Because no one wants to talk about it. There's like, it's not always about the money. Yes, it is.
It is. It is. Every the team that is managed is over well over 30 people. And of course, managing that amount of personalities, and 99.9 of the group are men. And so, it is always that thing like, um, and some may be listening, but it's like having sons where it's just like, why do we have to do that? Why is it good for me? And it's just like, take the medicine. It's good for you. You'll feel better afterwards. So, um, getting them to know that everything that we are putting in place for them is not just for the project itself, but also making sure that we take an active role in their um, development as a well-rounded technologist, really putting everything that we implement, that we talk about here, that we implement on the job. What percentage of the projects actually get the green light? Well, the project is already green lit.
Hmm.
And so, we currently work on the project. So it is what it is. At this point, it's basically what's the budget?
Yeah,
What in prioritizing what we need, who we can bring in on that project, who can share these costs. So everything's a go. We're working the project. It is just, what do we need as far as like the infrastructure? What is going to help us scale that is reasonable across the board? And getting everybody up to speed on what that means when in regards to like training, um, on different applications that they may not have. So right now it's just a whole lot of studying and for everyone. And a lot of people don't want to take the training, or again, like I said, don't know why they need the training. But at the end of the day, not only makes you a rounded technologist and you're growing your skill set, but it's also helping the client in the long run. And that's the job.
yep. And another the other aspect is not just the different personalities, but different uh thoughts on how we're going to get to the goal.
Yes.
So you have to consume what someone is saying or what a group of people are saying, take that into consideration, analyze it, what's going to be the best option. And then this is what you have to say. You have to understand what they're saying and understand what the big picture is, and then come up with a plan that may include or exclude what somebody says, and be okay with that.
Right. I mean, because it's always going to a person is always gonna be left feeling some type of way if they have been trying to introduce something new to a project and they've been talking about it for a long time and it falls on deaf ears. And then when you frame that particular process or application back to the stakeholders in a way that they can receive it, and then they're just like, yeah, let's run with that, then, people can get a little salty, and it's just like, don't get stuck on what they didn't do for you. Now that we have it, what were your ideas moving forward? So it's one of those things where it's always a balancing act. Is are you going to withhold because it wasn't yours at the when you wanted it, or are you going to be happy that this thing has finally come to fruition and you're going to take all of your thoughts and what you want to implement it about it when you had that idea and put it into the team and into um this scope, and let's move forward. But
Hmm.
it has been interesting to say the least.
What's going on, O'Shea? And thank you. The one of the questions was, is this more about building a platform or integration or both? It's everything.
It's everything. It's infrastructure.
Yeah, that's how I just wrap it up.
It's infrastructure. So we are building the house. And of course, if you build the house, then there is the
While
platform,
flying,
and then
while
there's
flying.
then there's applications that you put on um that users need in order to run that. So we are actually I wouldn't say not doing something that hasn't been done before, but the biggest thing is what we're building based on our project objectives. How can we scale that? And how can we get our vendors up to speed? And how can they um, get their applications on this platform? What do they need to get that? Because you still have, that situation where you're fostering all of these um, other projects within a project.
So I was, this is what I want to say here. I just went to Chat GPT. I know, and I've stated this, but you can hear it from from a different perspective. And said, well, I said, how do you define infrastructure in tech? All right. So in technology, infrastructure refers to the foundational systems and the resources that support development, deployment, operation, maintenance of software, hardware, IT services. It's a borrowed term that encompasses all the physical and virtual components required to enable technology functionality. So, hardware, networking, software, cloud services, storage systems, databases, security, monitoring and management tool, and people and processes. Categories of infrastructure include on prem, cloud, hybrid, edge. Why tech infrastructure matters: reliability, scalability, security, and efficiency. In short, tech infrastructure serves as the backbone of IT ecosystem, enabling business to operate and innovate effectively. So that's why I tell you all, go infrastructure. Infrastructure covers everything. There's no Alibaba, there's no Comcast, there's no Netflix, there's none of this exists without networking, some routers, some switches, some storage, some servers, some security, some application. It encompasses everything.
I was supposed to say that's a bulk of the day. It's like we ran out of that. Was you got some GPUs?
Yeah,
What's going on with the power? What's going on with the heat? What's going on with the cooling? What's going on in that room?
yeah,
Like that is the bulk of the day. Like it's
yeah.
so many things, and I appreciate that because it's always shifting. It's never like one a mundane thing. Like the last project that I worked on, it was basically the same thing every day. The client may have been different, and you had to deal with that customer centric part of it, where it's just like you are managing personalities
Mm-hmm.
all day, but you're actually doing the same job. With this, it's it is it's the same, but it's very different.
Yep. Um, Another one. This is another website. Nobilis wins $709 million FAA air traffic engineering and program support contract. That is another way to get into tech. Like there's so many agencies that are hiring. And I don't even think y'all realize how many agencies are out there. DoD's just happen to be one, but there's DOJ, DOE, all the triple letter agencies. The VA is an agency. The Social Security, the IRS, um, all of those are agencies that are hiring for people left and right. So you pick an agency that you want to go work for and go apply. Yep.
And they're all interconnected at the
Yep.
end of the day. Like everybody works with each other, and that's their goal every day. Like a lot of these stakeholders, these program managers, they want to see where they intersect so that they could share the cost. And that's just business across the board. So it's just like, sometimes you see your tax dollars at work.
Yep. So again, if you here's DOJ, you want to go work at DOJ. They use Linux. You can go find a job working at DOJ. What do you want to work in? What do you want to work on? What do you want to support? What is that? Um, DOJ across the country. Here's another thing: the U.S. federal courts. Someone has to intake that data. Someone has to hold that data. When you go to court, they don't just have your stuff sitting up there. They can pull it. They can pull from the docket, and pull your stuff, right? But look at DOJ. Look at all the sub things: criminal justice, the DEA, environmental and natural resources, Executive Office for Immigration, U.S. Attorney Office, Federal Bureau of Prisons, Foreign Claims Settlement Commission, Interpol, Justice Management Division, NSD, AJT, like the go Ola, like the
Yeah.
list goes on.
But at the end of the day, like, a bulk of what we do is R&D, research and development. Like, we're going out, we're trying to find the best tools. Sometimes we have to develop those tools. Does our team have the skill set to develop those tools? Is there anybody that is in the wheelhouse that already has a tool that is similar? Or what can we do to tweak that tool? And then
Mhm.
because um our project is what they call vendor agnostic, meaning that the government didn't want to depend on one particular contractor. It is one of those things where you have so many different types of skill sets, and because of the way the government works, is that basically you're exploring what each person does and what are their capabilities. I
Mhm.
mean, and that's what I'm always doing is capacity planning. Who can do what? Where are you going to be? How can you be? Like, what's going on? And a lot of people, it's one of those things where it's a mindset shift, where it's like it's not about micromanaging a person, but it's about saying what is your capacity so that we'll be able to make the team stronger, so that we can have the coverage you need to do what you need to do, and that we can deliver what we said we were going to deliver in the time that we were going to deliver it.
Yep. So I want to go over this, and then we're gonna get into what I want a little bit of what I wanted to talk about tonight.
All right. I'm going to drop
So,
down and give you some space.
oh no, you good. You stay right there. So Scrum Master, product owner, agile teams. Those are positions. These are positions. RTE, system architect, product manager. Again, positions. If you don't know what they are, go to Scale Agile Framework and then click on them, and you'll find out what they are. Um, um, Solution train engineer, solution management, solution architect, and then you got epic owners, meaning you may have some vendors outside work towards being the that work towards being getting their product delivered to a customer, and then you got the enterprise architect, and again, I'll let the enterprise. You can read through this all you want to, but here's the other one that I think most people don't realize is shared services. Um, So, shared services represents the specialty roles, people, and services required for the success of an agile release train or solution train, but that are not dedicated full time. Because these individuals have specialized skills, often single sourced and typically quite busy, each agile release train or solution train must plan to engage the shared services personnel it needs when it needs them. So you're like, well, what are those skills that person may have or that shared services may have? Well, I talked about this before. It could be application web portal management. It could be creating an application, site reliability engineer, DevOps engineer, platform engineer, configuration management, data modeling, data engineering, database support, end user training, enterprise architecture, information architecture, and the list goes on, right? And the list goes on. So when we talk about, and let me back out because it's actually two columns here, infrastructure tools and management, ITSM, InfoSec, regulatory and compliance, system QA, technical writers, ITSM, internationalization and localization support. All of that falls under shared services, which really falls under infrastructure as well too. So again, you can find yourself working in an agile scenario where your shared services comes into play. Now there is a system team, right? There is a system team. So let's go down here. All right. So the system team really deals with the CI/CD pipeline, creating platforms and environments for development, user acceptance testing, solution demonstration, deployment, and production, facilitating technical elements of collaborating, so forth and so on. So, and I can log into this, but I'm just giving you, like, if y'all think about Linux, it touches all these things, and it touches all of these different all of these different concepts. I should say, creating a platform. Well, what is a platform? Somebody drop in the chat an example of a platform. Somebody drop in the chat how would you deploy a container or a Helm chart onto a Kubernetes cluster? What how would you do that? Like, would it be automated? Would you just use Helm? Would you just deploy the application? Like, just give me some ideas of who's out in the audience, so you all can have a better idea of, like, the different genres, or I should say the different entryways into tech, and you just might not have even thought about it. um the other part of tech, when it comes to Linux, that often gets overlooked is system monitoring gets often overlooked. So old school, go download and install Zabbix. Go download, install Zabbix, and start playing with Zabbix and start monitoring your VMs or your instances in AWS or whatnot. Um, Zabbix is a you can literally spend your career being a monitoring engineer, literally, because you're monitoring the health of the system, you're monitoring the health of the clusters, the health of the hard drives, the health of the NICs, the health of the application. You can spend your whole life doing that. Your whole You can spend your whole life doing that. You could you could be like, I'm a monitoring guru. I can
Your whole life. You can spend your whole life, like, every day just monitoring, like, looking at a dashboard, making sure everything is up and okay. But you have to be able to interpret the data,
hmm
because you don't wanna get to a point where you are depending on the application. You have to be able to know, like, if something is an
off
anomaly.
others. Yeah. And it's right here. Senior performance and monitoring engineer, uh enterprise monitoring engineer, staff monitoring, application performance, um Dynatrace engineer. There's Datadog. There is Splunk. There is Elasticsearch. There's you name it. There's a ton of them. You literally could be a monitoring engineer. That, like, I personally think it's probably the easiest way to get into tech over Linux. because you could go and become tied down to a vendor or two, and really start understanding how to use those vendors and how to monitor and what they can do, and then turn around and just be your specialty. And literally you can go in and just do that. All you do is go in and set up the monitor and diagnostic. Look, network support engineer. And I'm gonna get into it here when we start talking about this in a minute. I'm just looking through and see what else they have. A monitor engineer, remote monitoring engineer. They even got a weather engineer. Senior engineer, security monitoring and response. Right? Literally, that's all you can spend your time doing all of that and be okay. All right, so for the grand finale is this conversation here. Why no one is becoming a network engineer. This came out 3 days ago. We're just gonna listen to the first few minutes, and then let me pull up my other tab, my other thing, and then we're gonna discuss. I got my start in network engineering um, with Cisco. But we're gonna discuss this, and we're gonna look at the comments, and then we're gonna talk about it. Day in each episode, I want to bring you the perspectives of a group of I want to bring this to you all because a lot of people go spend their time and they go down the route of I'm gonna do CompTIA Security Plus, Network Plus, A Plus, whatever plus it is. And then you turn around and like, okay, I passed all those. Now I need to get a job for 100,000.
You don't know what the heck you just took.
Well, not only that, you're not sure how what you studied actually works in the business.
Yeah, how it translates to the
Yeah,
job on a day-to-day basis.
and you get so deep into the weeds that you don't even understand networking in a cluster, networking in a high performance computing cluster, networking in the cloud, networking on prem, uh, just and then different vendors, Palo Alto, Cisco, Juniper, do different things and so forth and so on. Right. So I'm gonna give you. I didn't look at this whole video. I'm just gonna give you Tamika's perspective of why I think this is true and false at the same time. All right, so let's go. I see some of y'all have watched it, and drop your opinions in there on it. Real expert practitioners in their field on a variety of enterprise IT topics. I'd like to take a moment for our guests to introduce themselves before we jump into the premise for today's episode, starting with Ryan.
I'm Ryan Lambert. I've been in the network industry for about 20 years now. Looking forward to talking about the topic.
All right. David Varnum, been in the industry for about 17 years. You can find me at overlay.net.
I'm Dakota. I've been in the industry for only about 4 years. I'm the host of the Bearded IT Dad on YouTube.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. Let's jump into the topic or premise. I just want to note that going through this, just already they don't sing happy, right? Let's talk about it.
But they're so familiar, those personalities, each and every one of them.
All right, let's go. Today's episode. A lot of people want to do jobs in the IT space. Some jobs are cooler than others. You may want to be a DevOps engineer. Perhaps you want to be one of those fancy people that works in the cloud. But there aren't a lot of dial-up networking engineers anymore. There aren't a whole lot of old-fashioned storage engineers. And one of the job titles that seems to be consigned to the trash bin of history is network engineering. Well, I disagree with him right there. What I feel is consigned to the death is storage engineer. I can find network engineer jobs all day, every day. Storage engineer, I don't see that. Um, the only time I would see a storage engineer really if it's a vendor like Dell looking for someone, or a net app looking for someone, or something of that nature. But for a job to be like, I'm looking for a storage engineer, it's very hard to find. It's very hard to find. All right, let's go.
Because the premise for this episode is no one wants to be a network engineer anymore. I realize.
Okay, so he says no one wants to be a network engineer. If you are a Linux sysadmin, you are a network engineer. And the reason why I say that is just as a baseline premise, you need to know how to subnet. You need to understand what the different octets mean. You need to understand what's a /16, a /32, a /24, a /27. That's baseline. In fact, in Linux, they teach you that. Everyone is a network engineer. If you take Linux, you are a network engineer. Oh, I can't hear you, D.
I said it's infrastructure. You have to know it. You have to know your ports. Like, this is part of building the house. Like, it keeps the house connected.
This is why I think someone who is a network engineer can make the transition to be a Linux engineer, because you're on the command line anyway. You're automating this anyway. They go hand in hand. But if you were a Linux engineer, you could hop back over and be a network engineer, because then you could start understanding routing protocols and how they work. OSPF, RIP, that's old school. BGP, how to do translation when we're talking about QoS with quality. We're talking about jumbo frames and packets, jumbo packets, I should say, and how to scale up the ports, how to take multiple ports and turn bond ports and put ports together. Like if you do Linux and you do networking, y'all go together real bad.
But what's so crazy is that networking and Linux are the fundamentals that a lot of the sexy titles don't have.
Yeah.
A
Like
lot of the fundamental education that they don't have.
like networking, you need to know. Listen, I should be able to rattle off ports to you in the chat, and you know what it is: 22, 23, 80, 443, 53. I should be able to rattle off SSH, and you tell me the port. HTTPS, you tell me the port. HTTP, you tell me the port. What's the ports for FTP? What's the ports for Telnet? Like, you should know these ports. What ports in where do I start to, if I want to create an application, or an application to run on a specific port, what port do I start at? What's my starting port that I can start from in order for that application to spin up on a Linux box, to spin up on a Windows box? How do I set my CIDR rules? What does that look like in and out? How do I set my DNS? How do I? What is a reverse lookup? If I had to do a reverse lookup on an IP address to a host or something, like, we should be able to, like, you should be able, this right here should be like, this right here is just like coloring. It should be just like coloring for you, right? This should be like coloring for you, right? Even taking it one step further, I don't know why y'all don't do this, and I said this before. I'm gonna get out of here. A lot of y'all don't even get into it, but this right here, Wireshark, they got a whole curriculum, a whole conference in it. Like if you do those of you in security, Wireshark should be your friend. Wireshark, TCP dump, packet capturing. This should be your friend. You should be like, girl, let me do a TCP dump. Let me do it on port. Let me capture everything coming in on port on interface ETH0. And I only want traffic. I only want to see TCP traffic coming in on that port. Blah 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 blah. That should be like, They should be like, You should be like Glorilla. Like that should be your thing. Like that should be your thing. When you're looking at it. And then if we want to really, really, really start getting into outside of Wireshark or Shark or TCP dump, going back to monitoring, you can start setting up your alerts to say, well, if this port is down or if this application is down more than 10 seconds, we got a problem, right? So it's just one of those things, right? It's just one of those things, right? You say I use Wireshark at a base level to make sure my password wasn't clear text for my Docker apps. Made a reverse proxy to have my domains internal and external HTTPS only, or redirect HTTP to HTTPS. Yes, understanding at a fundamental, what is SSL? How to create an SSL certificate, and how does that work? What's the difference between TCP? What's the difference between UDP? Basics. These are the basics that you should know. These are the basics that you should know. All right. So let's get back to it.
Said that in front of a group of network engineers, so I'm sure the gloves are going to come off, but the more that I see in the IT space, thanks to a lot of technologies that are out there, no one wants to get their hands dirty learning how spanning tree works anymore. It's like, oh, well, the AI will fix that for me. Or, oh, that's so old school. We don't run spanning tree in the cloud. But yet we know how important those skills are. So what is it that's causing people to not want to develop into that network engineering role anymore?
I think a lot of it's shiny sticker syndrome. Like, these are the hot new thing. You talk about DevOps and things like that. And people don't really seem to grasp. I was born with the Portmaster in my hand, basically. People don't really seem to understand that, network connects all of those things together. Everything else has the limelight, but there doesn't really seem to be an appreciation anymore for the fundamentals of, like, how does all that work? How does it get built? How are we going to stream this podcast? So yeah, I think people have just, over time, everything's been so abstracted. We've kind of lost sight of, like, what are the building blocks that make this all possible?
I can honestly say that the cloud has got y'all so spoiled. I can honestly say the cloud has got y'all so spoiled. Like, oh, I'm just going to go over here. I'm going to create an account. I'm going to put in my credit card, and I'm going to spin up on me an instance. You don't think about DNS names and IP addresses and should I change the port so I can get to it or whatever. You don't think about none of that. Y'all just go in, spin it up, and you're done. Or if you don't go in and spin it up, you use the command line to build one out and then go from there. You have no clue what it took to go buy a server, spec out a server, buy the server, find what you're gonna do with it, get the IP addresses, set it up, record it, create your DNS server, create your TFTP server, boot off of the TFT server, create a DHCP server and a TFTP server, and then start building out your server or servers or virtual machines, whatever you're going to use. No clue about that. All you know is, oh, I'm going to put this up in a cluster on AWS, and I'm gonna keep it moving. Now, you say, well, Tamika, we're not going back to that. Au contraire, mon frère. There are some people that are like, we're going back on prem. So you need to understand, how does networking work? How do I set up DNS? How do I open up ports?
Because at the end of the day, if it go down, somebody's gonna walk themselves over to the server room and push the button.
Or they go, or you can use BMC, right? Or you can use the BMC and boot up off the network. If it's not configured, yeah, you got to walk into the server room. If you don't have your HP back end set up, if you don't have your management network set up, yeah, you don't have to do that. But again, we don't that's a lost art. Like, people don't like. I listen. I could tell when people like. Somebody will ask me something. I'm like, you don't know that. Oh, like that's basic
Like, are you a
admin
computer
101.
engineer?
Like, that's basic admin 101.
Like, what's your role?
Yeah, you can build your own local Git server. It'll probably be easier if you go to GitLab and do self-hosted and build your own GitLab server internal to your network. Build your own GitLab server internally to your network. And if you get fancy and feel froggy about it, have your GitLab server internal sync with the GitLab server that's public. And now you got a whole setup. Like, you can use GitLab internal, then sync the repository or mirror the repository outside. Right? Just saying.
It's also, I get it, right? It's super exciting to be coming, like, as a younger person coming into the industry and trying to figure out what it is you want to do from a tech perspective. AI is really attractive. Software is really attractive. Doing something in the cloud because, you're being told these stories that no one's going to be doing on-prem anymore. You're going to be going to the cloud, or you're already there. People that have been in this for a while know that's not necessarily true. I think there is still the people that are like hobbyists, or someone that's, the way I got into networking was LAN parties, which is a little bit different now, I guess. That's not such a thing you do anymore. But I think people are still involved in like the hobby of connecting things and get excitement from that. There are still people that are interested in network engineering. It's just becoming more of a niche and harder to find those people that really have that drive for it.
Yes, it's arguably we did it to ourselves. We got the network working so good. People just expect the internet to work. They expect the network to always be up. And since it's always working and we dedicate so much time to it, people just they forget about it.
So one of the things he said, the one in the jacket, in the blue jacket, he said we had LAN parties, but we used to also have Linux parties, where you bring whatever project, whatever Linux box you have, you pack it up, you bring it to this destination, you put it in, and you say, this is what I'm working on. I'm having trouble here. And everybody sits down and tries to help you figure out what that issue is or help you solve it, right? It was literally like, I'm trying to install Drupal. Oh, dude, what did Drupal used to be ridiculously hard to install back in the day. It was crap. The installer was crap. It was like, well, what I got to do now? In fact, Drupal is still around. And guess what? Folks make money off of Drupal. They make money off of building out Drupal sites. You wouldn't believe it. You don't. You know what? You ain't gotta believe me. You gotta believe me. Let's go. Let me do this. I'm gonna just do this. Drupal jobs. right? So Drupal got a whole list of jobs, right? A Drupal developer, a senior Drupal engineer, 218 jobs from on LinkedIn. Let me see what Drupal has right here. People are still hiring Drupal. And look, this one right here from 9 months ago, that's a DevOps. This will back in from 80 to 105, and they're on pay scale. Let's go over here and see what Indeed is saying. They got 49 jobs on Drupal remote. They're remote. 92,000 to 147K. Now, here's the sweet lick about Drupal. If somebody finds you, they're gonna find you and refer you. And you just stay in the loop. They just keep referring you out. A remote part-time senior Drupal developer position. Drupal support developer, Drupal PHP, ministries and business, full stack, software developer for Drupal developer. Right? And these are all remote. It's just a sweet lick. It's just one of the ones that people use. Let's see, Drupal footprint. Don't have no information on it. I want to see how large of a footprint it has for websites. Let me see. Let's change it up. Let's say Drupal popularity for websites. Content manager for websites. Drupal is used on a significant percentage of the world's top sites. It's especially popular in countries like Belgium and Poland. Drupal is the leading CMS for complex, high-traffic sites. So, Australian government, Seville, Keep, Lady Gaga, Time X, and so forth, just to give you an idea. Drupal is used by 1.3% of the world's website whose content management systems we know. Right? So just again, who's using Drupal and where is that at? Right? So again, they're still around. It's just one of them little things that, if you want to get specific, you could. All right, so let me see. It says right here, get access to 1.6 million websites, Drupal customers. We know of 448,000 live websites using Drupal, an additional 1.2 million sites that use Drupal historically, and so forth. So they're just talking about what they've discovered with Drupal. It's the fourth most popular in the United States, the second popular in the top 10K open source, 100K, 1 million, and in the entire internet, it's the fourth most popular open source project, right? So just putting that out there. We got Rails devs at Amazon. Yep. Yeah, Drupal is still around. All right, so let's get back to it.
Network exists, and it's kind of lost its coolness, it's lost its sexiness, and the shift has moved to cybersecurity, where we see all these cybersecurity boot camps and how you can make so much big money in cybersecurity. Meanwhile, how do you expect to learn cybersecurity and be good at it if you don't know how the network works? How can you protect the network if you don't understand how it actually functions at its core?
And I feel like that part of the problem that we're running into is that a lot of the support functions that we've had to deal with for so long feel like they're being kind of pushed to the side. I mean, I got into networking because I was working on a help desk for Gateway Windows PCs. And a lot of my phone calls stopped being about dead hardware and started being more about cable modems that didn't work. And, as someone who can rebuild a WinSock stack from a modem in their sleep in Windows 98, cable modems were like something I had no clue about. And so that was what started me down the path of getting my Network Plus and understanding what the difference between IP and IPX was. And then that kind of led to where I am today. But it was that desire to want to learn more and knowing that there are resources out there. I mean, I picked up so many Cisco Press books that I feel like I should get a frequent customer card from them. But as part of that issue, that there's no drive from people now to want to learn those fundamentals because either
most of the time the companies don't carry that knowledge right throughout. Many they're all going to the cloud. They'll hire out a person that works at Amazon to support the network build out, and then they just want the networking. You set up the VPC and give me the IP addresses, and I'll go from there. People are not gravitating towards this, and then we're gonna talk about it some more. It's because the networking physical aspect has changed. You're not racking and stacking. You're not grabbing some hardware and putting it in and configuring it and booting up of it and updating the firmware, this, that, and other. People are not doing it anymore. In some cases, they are. Let's be clear. But for the most part, a lot of people are in the cloud. So the configuration already comes with itself.
Information is already out there and it's just a Google search away, or there's no drive to get networking certifications anymore.
Yeah, I think networking is such a complex topic, and kind of going back to, things are being abstracted. And to Dakota's point, the network runs so well today, and things are so much more reliable than they were 15, 20 years ago. A lot of people would say, I don't need to know these fundamental things, but I think, any of us who've done this for a while understand.
You need to know the fundamentals. How many of y'all have got home, tried to get on the internet and couldn't get on the internet? Your router or your modem was down. What's the first thing you do? Go reboot it, right? You go reboot it, right? What if you reboot it and then it don't come back up? Right? So if you reboot it and it don't come back up, the light is still red on your modem. What do you do then? Do you call whoever? Do your plug, right? Do you try to hop on the command line of the router and see what's going on? No, most of your time you don't do that. You don't do that. And if the router is acting slow, right? If the router is acting slow, like your packets and stuff, it's not as fast. Your upload download speed not as fast. What you going to go in there and check? You gonna check to see if your computer is slow. So first thing y'all say is something wrong with my computer. It's acting slow. It may be your network. It may be your network. Let's go.
When things go wrong, things go wrong. And if you don't understand the fundamentals of how it's built, you don't understand how spanner tree works, you don't understand how a routing protocol works, you're kind of at the mercy of, I've got to call my vendor. And, being in that position now with everything so connected the way that it is, that's really not an option for a lot of companies. Losing connectivity can be devastating for companies. So, still.
Can you imagine somebody was needing a heart transplant or something like that, and the network go down, and so they can't get the information over. They don't know where it's at. They don't know it's supposed to be on the way. They don't know where it's at. You need your networking.
And they're having that fundamental skill set and understanding it. Maybe we take it for granted when things are working, but when things really go wrong, you want to have those type of people.
Yeah, I mean, from an AI perspective, I feel like that's the big disruptor, and attention span as well. So I don't think people aren't as interested in dedicating lots of the significant time necessary to go after some of these certifications that they don't really understand how that gets them into a future role or something like that, right? Like it's this obtuse, nebulous information versus something that is immediate, like AI or cybersecurity. Of course, there's the side effect of not understanding the network, so there's obviously still a need for those people.
Yep.
But I can, see that.
Yeah, I mean, and also I think it comes back to the network. What the network engineer of today is doing is not the same as what they were doing even 3 years ago. I remember in high school, I took the Cisco CCNA certification, and I remember my instructor talking about protocols like wireless N networks, how unsecure they were, and they're never going to catch on. And look at the industry now; it's evolved, and us as humans do not like change. We do not like change. And I think a lot of the old school networking people did not want to evolve. And the new people, they didn't have the old people to inspire them to get into networking, because all the people.
So do the old people ignite a flame for you at work? Does them do by watching them sit there and not ask for raises, just doing the 8 hours or the bare minimum, does that excite you not to be that person? Or does it, or you're like, that's the life? Do the long timers excite you to be in the job? Now, for most people, I know most people are like, nah, I want them to retire. I want them up out of there. Adios, amigos. That's what I hear. I don't know. You tell me.
In networking didn't like the change. So there hasn't been this big publicity, with like cybersecurity. You have like all these gamified platforms where you could play to learn cybersecurity skills, where there's really not the same drive for networking.
And do you think that has something to do with the fact that, we talk about cybersecurity as kind of like an IT discipline, but it's a lot of things. There's skill sets and career paths that you can do that will never touch anything outside of your very narrow little trail. If you're an identity specialist, you may never understand how to do any kind of malware removal or something like that. Whereas in networking, we kind of assume that everybody knows networking, all parts of it. Maybe you're not just a routing expert, but you also have to be a switching expert. You have to be a WAN expert. Whereas back in the day, those were specialized. Like if you had to turn up an OC3 circuit, not everybody knew how to do that because maybe they don't get access to that all the time. So could it be that because disciplines like cybersecurity just have so much more opportunity, people are like, well, it's easier for me to get in here and learn some things so that I can start my career, as opposed to networking where it's like, oh no, you've got to learn all of this stuff before we ever let you touch anything.
I don't think getting into networking is I have to learn all of these things so much. Kind of what Dakota was saying. I think there's been a lot of resistance to change over the years, and people were pretty disgruntled about the change. And
I'm just gonna say, if I had to follow them, no shade against them, I would not be excited. Do at least it make you excited about infrastructure? Do at least make you excited about Linux? Do you be like, oh, after I do this, I'm gonna go look at Linux, and you read 2 chapters and you be like, damn, that Linux stuff. I don't know what they talk. She had me all excited for this mess. Said change is tough. Companies don't want to give you the time to learn the changes. Is it the company don't want to give you time to learn, or you don't block out time to learn? Right? So you need to start on your schedule is put do not disturb on your schedule. Do not disturb on your schedule for 2 hours so you can study and eat and relax. Not your to the T. I'm glad I made you excited about Linux. You should be. You should be. You should be. Let me look. Let me look at this. Oh, not women's sexuality, but women in Linux. All right, so let's go to videos. Let's go to the oldest. It was 8 years ago. We were talking about Linux. All right, so you go to console. And this is just the one we posted. Right? This is just the one. I think we even got some. I think we even got some before this. I didn't even think we got some before this. Where we're talking about learning Linux. You don't have any confusion. That's from 8 years ago. Let me go back and let me go to playlist. And let me go RAC study group right here. Let me pause that. And then let me go 2022, 2021. Let me go all the way down. All right. Yeah, so we got some other ones. So this is only 2021. But for a long time, I didn't record our meetups. You know why? Because people like to steal. I don't have time for that. I don't want to have to fight you for my content now. No, it takes time. Content takes time. Our very first interview on YouTube was here. Extract from her. And the reason I'll tell you why I did this interview. I did this interview because there was a guy, he interviewed, he's in Orlando, and he did an interview with a Linux administrator 8 years ago, and the guy was talking about a Linux administrator, and I was like, nah. I emailed him. I said, let me tell you from my perspective. And so that's how I ended up on the interview. D's on there too. Let me see if we sort by newest 3 years ago. I mean, we got some haters, of course, in there. Savage Scientists, we see you out there. There were some hateful comments in there. And then there was some people that was just like, man, I didn't even think about it like that. Like, this is inspiring. Whatever happened to Ernest? Is he still around, D? We ain't seen Ernest in forever. He used to come to the meetups. These are some of the old schoolers. When we got started. Right? And then on top of that, we would have meetups and nobody would show up. You never seen no hateful comments? Shit. We have them. They're out here. They're out here. They don't be on my channel per se. They may be on other channels. I don't know what happened to Sergio. He used to come around. Sergio used to come around. I don't know what happened to him. I hope he's doing all right. I'll look him up in a minute. But yeah, that's one of the things in this I talked about my journey of getting started in Linux and so forth. And just different talks that we've done over the years. And just just trying to really spread the word from networking, from talking about networking, Wireshark, infrastructure, even buying servers and spinning up people instances on my servers that I had over at Joe's data center. Yeah, just all kind of stuff. Yeah, and then for this journey, right? With not just, and one of the reason why that video with the networking was so relatable is because that's how I got my start. But you had to progress. Now I could have stayed networking, but I found I like Linux a whole lot more, and it still incorporated networking. And what I also found out is that people were like, "Man, we need Linux people. We need Linux people." I'm like, "Oh, you need Linux people?" So I started going down the rabbit hole of learning Linux, and then that next thing you know, after just started doing interviews and stuff like that with it. If you it should be Linux. It's just for Linux. I don't know. It may still be up. I think they got bought by somebody. Yeah, just for Linux right here was how I got started. So I got started with just for Linux. I would try to make my Linux box look like a Windows box, but then I would come here and they would have like how to's, and I would take the how to's from this particular online group and then try to figure out. I would try to figure out. I would try to use that how to start building out my stuff. And for a long time, like this is when like being in Linux was a nasty thing, right? Because people didn't want to help you. They were like, "You come here, you don't have your log files, you don't have this." You're like, "Man, I don't know. I'm just getting started." I think I'm still in here somewhere. Let me look. And keywords. Let's see. I may still be in here somewhere. Let's see. Search entire posts. Yeah. All types. Do I need to do that? I don't know. Let me look and see. This is old school. I think I brought this up one time just for Linux T read. Yeah, they probably won't pull my name because tree is a thing. But yeah, I'll have to look and put screenshots out there on like me asking newbie questions for this website. I was literally asking newbie questions like, "Oh, what I'm like, how do I set up an Apache server, or how do I set up a Postgres SQL database, and how do I upload information into the database?" Just getting started. And then I started making collections of my questions, and then the commands I use to get the answer. And then I would study those commands on how to get the answer and what problems that I have, what the gotchas are, what's the difference between them. That's why I tell y'all read the release notes and so forth. So you can start spending your time studying that way. It don't take a lot for you to study. It take you probably about $5 to study, because you can go and grab a disk on DigitalOcean using Rocky Linux or CentOS and just start playing with command line and keep it pushing. So It's really on you. It says, good point. Once you have Linux administration skills plus C, go down the rabbit hole into kernel development, IoT, whatever. Right. But again, I just want to put this out there about the billions that you see going into data centers. Somebody's got to manage those servers, somebody's got to monitor those servers, and somebody's got to keep them cool, right? And on top of that, you're gonna start seeing more and more data center jobs, data center with AI, help desk with AI. You watch the help desk with AI jobs popping up. Because now you're getting into prompt engineering with the help desk to help them solve their problems and use the knowledge base that is generating with AI to help people solve problems. Right? They're going to be looking for people who are crafty, who can think outside the box to help a customer solve their problem. You said that's how Stack Flow is. You can't ask a question without getting cussed out. Yeah. 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 Stack Overflow is another one. It used to be what, knowledge something. You used to have to pay for it or something like that. They used to make you sign up. Dell has theirs, VMware has theirs, they all have theirs. But yeah. Well, yeah, it's been real. I hope you had fun tonight. We're gonna get out of here before it get too late. I got work to do still. And I hope you all enjoyed the meetup. No meetup. Enjoyed the meeting tonight. You got a D sighting. And as well, you got some knowledge. We'll meet again on Wednesday. Wednesday is not on YouTube. It is on meetup.com/women in Linux. Once we get in, once you get there, sign up. That's how you keep up when we cancel our meetups as well too. And then on this coming Friday should be another Foolish Finance Friday. We'll do a Foolish Finance Friday. Haven't done in a while. Got some topics. We'll go deep into them and go from there. And also don't forget, you're one skill away from 200K. And let the haters hate, but you'll be great. All right, y'all take care. Haters gonna hate.